Here's today's Monday Market Outlook. My name is Matthew Buckley. I'm the Chief Investment Strategist here at Wealth Creation Investing and have a lot to talk about, folks. The Dow was down 2% last week, and we're starting to see a lot of misses on the revenue side out of company. And we called this about 3-4 weeks ago, just as Q3 earnings were going to start. Folks, earnings can be manipulated, period. That's just a fact of Wall Street. Companies can manipulate earnings. It's a lot harder to manipulate revenue. So really not looking at earnings per se and a lot of these announcements. I'm looking at revenue. Okay, so Apple, Amazon, Caterpillar, just reporting weak earnings. And matter of fact, Amazon saw its first quarterly loss since 2003. Other big giants that have lowered outlooks: DuPont, Xerox, and a bunch of heavy companies talking about actually laying off workers. Lockheed Martin, Dow, Corning, Kimberly-Clark. Lockheed Martin's a big one because not only are they giving people a heads up now, but they're also a defense contractor, right? And sequestration, no matter what the president said and lied about in the debate the other night, is the law of the land. And on January 1st, unless the law of the land is changed, these defense contractors under the WARN Act have to start giving their employees a heads up that they're going to lose their job. So lots going on in the market, folks. And this week is going to be very big as far as economic events go. There's some earnings coming out this week, but I really want to focus on the events. Monday, we're going to see personal income and personal spending. Remember last month, we saw an increase in personal spending and a decrease in personal income, which kind of had us a little worried, right? People are making less, but they're spending more. That's just kind of a recipe for absolute failure, right? And then on Tuesday, we're going to see October consumer confidence, right? And also a big housing report. The S&P Case-Shiller 20-City Home Composite Index is going to be looking for an increase there as well. But the Conference Board's consumer confidence number is going to be a big one, potentially market moving this week. Obviously, Chicago PMI, kind of a Midwest PMI reading. That's going to be interesting as well. And Thursday, we have, of course, our weekly unemployment claims. But here's the biggest thing we're going to see this week. And then we'll get some vehicle sales and some PMI as well on Thursday. But the biggest numbers this week are going to be what? Friday, the non-farm unemployment change, right? So all the 500 pounds are looking for 120K, and we'll see if this 1 month, or not even 1 month, I'm sorry, 1 month before the election, we saw a decrease, a 3-decade, the largest decrease in 3 decades, month over month, which of course I completely think was a lie, and the numbers were manipulated. So we'll see how bad these numbers are about 2 to 3 weeks before the election and see what kind of laughable numbers. They're looking for a slight uptick to about 7.9% on the unemployment number itself, and then obviously 120,000 is the number that they're looking at here. But everybody knows who trades with me at Wealth Creation Investing that we don't look at any of those numbers. First of all, if you didn't know this, 2 of the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics economists, senior economists that come up with these numbers are big Obama campaign donors. Of course, you're not going to hear that in the mainstream media as well. But also, folks who trade at Top Gun Options, WCI, know that we don't look at U3. We don't look at that. I call it the liar number. It's the politician number, right? U3 is the one that you're going to hear about, and here it is up here. Official unemployment rate, 7.8%. Yawn. 14.7. U6, and this is actually we have 40 million people on food stamps now. It's horrible out there, folks. And rounding out what I'm looking at this week, obviously, the hurricane's going to be blowing into New York City. That'll put a little crimp on the trading day. We might not see that much volume, but I really don't see it wreaking that much havoc in the market. What is going to wreak havoc in the market is what's going on with the election coming up. And I want to debrief real quickly what happened last week with our GDP numbers. GDP grew unexpectedly from 1.3% to 2%. We actually broke into the 2s, and you'd think we'd be happy, right? That's absolutely horrible. And let me tell you about why we broke up into 2% right here. There it is. A majority of our GDP spending was a surge in defense. Let me say that again. First of all, business investment fell. And we saw some consumer, but mainly the GDP numbers were fueled by defense spending. And guess what? Defense spending is controlled by who? That's right, Uncle Sammy. It's just kind of a little bit odd that the defense industry and, just kind of all of a sudden spooled up out of the blue a month before the election. So this GDP is not to be believed either, folks. The number might be right, which, we can debate. But guess what? On January 1st, with sequestration, defense companies like Lockheed Martin and the folks that just made up this nice big 2.0 GDP number are going to take it on the chin. Okay, so this fiscal cliff that we're talking about, again, even from the most liberal to the most conservative economist predicts about a 4 to 5% reduction in GDP. And if on a good day, let's say we do have a GDP of around 2s, do the math, folks. If we take a 5% hit, that's an immediate recession to this nation. Okay? Reminder, fiscal cliff. Expiration of the Bush tax cuts, the top tax bracket goes from 35 to 39.6, just about 40%. 15% capital gains tax, remember those? Up to 20%. Dividends now become taxed as ordinary income. And then for anybody making over 250 grand, guess what? You get a 3.8% Medicare tax to help fund Obamacare. Okay, and then we've obviously talked about defense cuts as part of sequestration. This is going to be horrible, folks. One of two things can happen. Either our clown car Congress, our lame duck Congress, gets back and says, we got to do something, which I'm a seller of, or they're going to get back and say, let's kick this can as far as we can down the road. Okay, and I think that's what's going to happen. So we're actually going to have some, bi-directional trades on in our portfolio here. Matter of fact, this is a great hedge we had on that's working great. The SPX, we put this trade on, I believe, on October 1st, so a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, a bull put spread on SPX. We took a look at the chart. We bought the 1430 puts, 5 of them, and we sold the 1400s. And in 3 weeks, we've made about $3,500 on this. Why? I told my traders this 1430 level right here, 1430 is the beachhead. We hit it, bounced off, hit it, went below for a little bit, hit it, and now we're on our way down here. Okay, so we have a lot of hedges in our model portfolio to the downside, but I'm also this week going to be working with my traders at Wealth Creation with options and also at Top Gun Options to start putting on some potentially bullish trades. If the Congress gets back and they successfully punch this thing down the road a little bit, I see the market rallying. However, we're going to have enough hedges on here that if the market doesn't, or Congress doesn't act, that we're going to be fine as well. Okay, so a lot going on this week at Top Gun Options. We're also going to be taking a look at some potential bullish trades in China. I think the Chinese markets have given back 90% of what we've seen from the 2008 rally there. So we've given about 90% of the gains back. And with the leadership change coming up next month, the once-a-decade leadership change at Command, I think we're going to take a look at the FXI and the GXC. And it might be, as everybody's kind of fleeing China, it might be time to get bullish, kind of like we're doing with a long-term trade on Brazil here, okay, which is looking pretty good. All right, happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. I'll be back with tomorrow's sit rep, and it's going to be an action-packed week, folks, full of a lot of earning events and also some economic events, not only domestically, but around the world. Okay, I'll talk to you later.